What is up, NFC East football fans, and welcome into another edition of the NFC East Roundtable. Preseason week 1 is in the books. All 4 teams in the division were in action this past weekend. We'll dive into everything we saw from the first game of the year for all 4 teams in the NFC East. Without further ado, let's bring in the gang. J Tuck, KB,
we back.
Simone, and a long-awaited debut of Rio. Rio, I'll set the stage. How you been? We didn't get to see you last week. How's life?
I feel great right now, man. You know, I wasn't here like my team wasn't in preseason week number 1 last week. Miss you guys, seeing the people all together. We finally, we finally got some good looking on the panel, seeing you guys all the time, What's up, Simone? Welcome to the panel. And KB,
man, I thought you were talking to me. My bad.
What's up, man?
Right.
I see you, Z-Bot. I see you got your Hard Knocks episode 2 outfit ready to go. I'm glad to be back, man. What's up with y'all?
Well, I think Scotty's glad to have you back, Rio. He's saying good evening and hail to the Commanders.
Gang.
You kind of left the gang was looking for you last week. I know some shots were kind of delved out around the table here, so it's good to have you back to defend the Commanders this evening. Let's start there. We're going to go around the table, talk about what we saw from preseason.
Start here. We got to
because we missed you. And unfortunately, your Commanders, granted preseason, they're kind of ushering you into your first episode of the 2025 season here in a ugly manner. Once again, it is preseason. 48-18 L, though, on the road against the newly led Mike Vrabel Patriots. 48-18. Obviously, we didn't see Jaden Daniels in this game, but talk to me about what you saw. Rio, it's the first time you got to see your Commanders in action after coming off of that NFC Championship appearance. Let's start with the positive. I know it's tough to kind of get into that when you have a game that 1 is preseason and then 2 just doesn't go the way you were hoping it would. But anything positive stand out to you as we head into the year that you're hoping you can kind of recreate once the regular season kicks off?
Well, first things first, I want everyone to know we set 31 players. We set 31 players, and we only play the 3 players that are actually going to see the football field in 2025. That's Johnny Newton, our second-round pick from 2024, Trey Amos, our rookie second-round pick this year, and Jalen Lane. They're like the only players that are slotted to start somewhere. But Johnny Newton, he is coming into a big year number 2. He forced a strip sack on Drake May in the starting Patriots offense. And the list of positive things Washington did almost stopped there because we looked like a disaster for the rest of the game. They ran back the opening kickoff of the game. Like, we couldn't even get settled in the preseason. Travion Henderson takes it out and takes it all the way to the crib to start the game. Dropped passes everywhere. There's not much good to talk about from the game, but Johnny Newton definitely showed. Trey Amos only played a handful of snaps. He looked good when he was in, even though there was no Diggs out there to run the fade with. I don't know how much bump you're going to get from Mac Hollins, but, a couple guys that are actually going to play, they looked the part when they were in the game, and that's about all the good I got from preseason week number 1 for my Washington Commanders. Oh, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, our rookie 7th-round pick, running back. We're actually excited about him because we finally have a running back with some hitch in his giddy up, some speed, and some wiggle to him because Brian Robinson can only run straight and into the backs of his offensive linemen. He looked good in the couple carries that he got, but no one got hurt. Well, we had one player get hurt. No one substantial was injured in preseason game number 1. So for the most part, we came out unblemished, unscathed, and ready to get to the next week because we're on prime time next week versus the Bengals.
I'm going to need you to put some respect on my man Mac Hollins' name. That was Josh Allen's leading touchdown catcher last year. Don't you diss my man Mac Hollins like that, Rio. I can't let it slide. When we spin back around, I feel like you got a lot of negatives you want to touch on. We're going to get to that in the next spin around here. But I figured we'd start out positive here on a Tuesday. And speaking of positive, it doesn't get more positive than coming off of a Super Bowl championship. Rio, this is the team your Commanders played in the NFC Championship a season ago. This is the first time we got to see Philly.
What was the score of that game?
I think a lot of the viewers forgot.
Double nickel. Yeah.
We had a few people in the chat. I think they thought they won that game. Just, you know what I'm saying.
I think last week they really did. They
Yeah,
really
they
did.
really did.
A little more quiet today. But Simone's got no reason to be quiet with these Eagles. The momentum they, of course, built into going into the postseason last year, getting it done, and now we get to see if they can defend it. It all started this past weekend. They got a dub over a Bengals team that featured Joe Burrow early, 9 of 10, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Joe Burrow, including 77 yards from Jamar Chase. Still not enough to beat the preseason version of the Philadelphia Eagles. So, Simone, talk to me. What stood out to you from your Philadelphia Eagles over the weekend here?
Yeah, I mean, preseason, postseason, regular season, all we do is win, So can't relate to that, Rio. But we saw a lot of good things in that game. First thing, A.J. Dillon, he's looking very healthy. We talked last stream, and you were asking, what's one thing I was looking out for this offseason, and it was A.J. Dillon's health, because obviously if he's healthy, he can take a lot of pressure off of Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. So A.J. Dillon, healthy. We love that. Obviously, our backup quarterback, Tanner McKee, he was slinging it, 3 touchdowns. Tush push, still very much alive. Even without Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee was still able to move the pile. So I don't want to hear any excuses from any other teams about the tush push, because if Tanner McKee can do it, you know what I mean? Very different build than Jalen Hurts, then there's no excuse for any other team, Also, Darius Cooper, who was an undrafted free agent wide receiver for us, he looked very good. I mean, there was so many great things in that game. Jahad Campbell, first round pick, looking good. Ty Robinson, our rookie, got a sack. So I could just go on and on, but I got to let other people talk. So
I feel that. You got to talk to me real quick, though.
It's just all sweet in Philadelphia right now, man. That's love. That must be nice.
Yeah.
I don't know where we all just went. I think we all just disappeared.
All that nice Eagles.
We all got traded. Howie Roseman.
The Eagles are so powerful. Yeah, Howie Roseman casted a spell and made us all disappear for a second there. Before we move off from the Eagles real quick, Simone, I just want to touch on Tanner McKee, because that's a hell of a day. 20 of 25 for 252 and 2 touchdowns. That's nothing to joke about. And obviously, with the amount of physicality Jalen Hurts plays with, what did you see from Tanner McKee if you were ever to get in an unfortunate situation where he would need to be featured in the regular season? Did you see enough to feel confident in having him come in for a game or two?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Tuck remembers the game last year where Jalen Hurts was hurt. We didn't have the NFC East locked up at that point. We all know how that story ended. But Jalen Hurts got hurt towards the end of the year. Tanner McKee had to come in the game against the little boys. That's what I call them. Sorry, J Tuck. He was able to win us that game, 40 points, 38 points. So we knew what Tanner McKee could do. He's going into his 3rd year now on the roster, and we've been very confident in him, which is why we shipped away Kenny Pickett.
Well, unfortunately, J Tuck, Simone set me up. The little boys, let's talk about them next. The little Cowboys up next. They played the LA Rams over the weekend, 31-21. The final saw a heavy dose of Joe Milton in this game. He was 17 of 29, 143. And a touchdown. What stood out to you? I know you're big into the prospects and new guys, younger guys. Any of those type of players for Dallas stand out to you in this one, or was it more a veteran presence? What really kind of shined for Dallas to you over the weekend?
I mean, the only thing that's really stood out for the Dallas Cowboys is that they're having this press release and red carpet events for movies while our leader, Micah Parsons, isn't signed. That's a whole different conversation for a whole different day. When it comes to the preseason, I guess we were kind of like Rio. A lot of starters set out of the game. Hell, if I said that I played a few snaps, probably people wouldn't even know the difference. But I think the person that really stood out for a lot of Cowboys fans is Maris Leofau, our second-year linebacker out of Notre Dame. He played phenomenal. He looked good last year in Mike Zimmer's defense, but this year under Matt Eberflus already, he was in full command. He was wearing the green dot. He was communicating. He was coming downhill, flowing in coverage. So it really got a lot of Cowboys fans excited for Maris Leofau. You mentioned Bazooka Joe. Bazooka Joe Milton, I felt that he would probably be a little bit ahead of the learning curve than where he currently showed or displayed in the first preseason game, because it looked rough, right? Now he settled down like the second quarter, but overall, I feel like he came out and just wanted to put his arm talent on display. And I would say he has one of the most beautifulest arms I've ever seen in my life. I mean, because Josh Allen, right? But Joe Milton can make any throw. But I think the point was we didn't need you to make every throw. Sometimes it's just a simple swing press, just dump it off. So Joe Milton remains a question mark. So unlike the Eagles and Taylor McGee, I still think the quarterback 2 position is a conversation the Cowboys need to focus on. We have Will Grier, who was with Philly as their 3rd string quarterback last year, but is he going to be optimal if something was to happen to Dak? And Dak has missed games in the last 3 seasons. So I think Joe Milton was kind of the biggest, I would say, disappointment. But some other guys flash. We brought in Malik Davis off the street pretty much and say, yeah, we want to play some football. And he came out there and was our leading rusher. So he came back to Dallas. We saw Phil Maffa, our rookie out of Clemson. He showed some bursts. Deuce Vaughn showed some bursts. So overall offensive line played well. But I think that the brightest star by far when it comes to Dallas Cowboys game was Maris Leofau, our 2nd-year linebacker.
KB, I had to save you for last because you took it to my Buffalo Bills over the weekend, Saturday afternoon.
You saw Jackson Dart slicing up your starting defense? Come on, baby.
KB, he can't even wait. He literally can't wait to just wax poetically about Jackson Dart. And I can't lie to you, KB. I've been waxing poetically about Jackson Dart since what I've seen from Saturday. I was confident in him going into it, but I mean, what we saw Saturday, that was impressive for a quarterback making his first technical start in the NFL. And really, the Giants in totality look pretty decent on Saturday. Is hope at its all-time high right now after what you saw on Saturday, or is the Giants faithful saying, it's just the preseason, we'll wait and see what happens a month from now?
I'm not going to lie. I am pleasantly surprised. You guys know I wasn't the biggest Jackson Dart guy when he was coming out of college and the Giants drafted him. But, man, against a Buffalo Bills defense too, I didn't think. I mean, it is the preseason. I gotta calm down. I gotta take the wins where we can take them.
Be excited as you want to be right now, because there ain't gonna be much for you to be excited about once the season starts.
Listen, so it's a rare sight to see when you see the Giants on the scoreboard with a 3 as that first number, and it's double digits. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna roll with it, and as against the Buffalo Bills. And I gotta say, Jackson Dart, the rookies in general were phenomenal. You couldn't have asked for a better rookie class from the Giants in this draft class, man. Jackson Dart was on fire. I think like 12 of 19, 154 and a touchdown, a couple carries for like 24 yards. But he did everything right. There were a couple of throws he wanted back, sure, but as far as pushing the ball downfield, not holding the ball for too long, getting through your progressions, he did everything extremely well, is developing a really good chemistry with the receivers that we had. We didn't have any of our starting receivers out there. Our starting 4 receivers, our top 4 receivers were not out there. He was working with guys that are on the roster bubble, including a receiver named Montrell Washington, who's having a really good camp. But man, the rookies are killing it right now. We had Abdul Carter have 3 pass rush snaps, and that was enough to say, all right, we got to take him out the game. He's dominated too much. We saw enough out of Abdul Carter. He was insane. He put Deion Dawkins in a blender, 4-time Pro Bowler, by the way. That's all it took for them to say, all right, we've seen enough from him. We had our swing tackle, backup tackle, Marcus Bowe, rookie. He looked really good as well. We're still waiting on Cam Scatterbu from his injury, but man, rookies especially were shining against Buffalo.
Well, for Mitch Trubisky's sake, KB, thank God you took Abdul Carter out, because right off the bat, Mitch Trubisky was running for his life.
Yeah.
You leave Abdul Carter in there, I had a feeling that things could have gotten ugly quick. They definitely looked like they were as good as you were selling them on, or at least Abdul Carter right off the jump there. And then the D-line, we know how good they are for the Giants, and they really did show up on Saturday. Even though it was a preseason game, you could tell that presence was felt. I got to ask you, so Jackson Dart, TJ Sanders coming off the side, looks like he's got Dart. He's going to put him on a poster. Nope, Dart's able to get away. Ball down the left side of the field, front pylon, on Cam Lewis's head. A beautiful pass from Jackson Dart. Walk me through where you were at mentally seeing that throw, because overall it was a good day from Jackson Dart, but that, of course, was the main takeaway for Giants fans, that throw on only the second drive of his NFL career.
Yeah, it was a beautiful throw. It was right in the bucket for LJ Humphrey, Lil Jordan Humphrey. And the timing was perfect. He didn't force the ball. He wasn't scared to throw it. He saw one-on-one coverage. He looked his way immediately and just let it go. It was a great touchdown. That's not even my favorite throw that Jackson Dart had. It was actually one to Montreal Washington in the middle of the field, right behind. It was an anticipation throw. Montreal Washington didn't cross that linebacker yet, and threw it before he did. He had to slide. He threw it, Dart, for, no pun intended, Dart down the middle, and Montreal Washington comes up with the catch. Like, that was a beauty of a throw there. But yeah, the touchdown grab was also really impressive. And I'll be honest, like I said, I thought Jackson Dart was going to struggle a lot more than he did. Apparently, he was like the best rookie quarterback of this preseason. You could throw in Shadur Sanders as well, but as far as quarterback rating, he was the top rookie quarterback.
All right, we got some positives out of the way. We'll spin around the table and get some negatives from preseason week 1. But before we do, as I mentioned last week, we are introducing Patreon to the NFC East Roundtable, which is very exciting. There's a ton of perks, but the biggest one is the ability to call into the show. So if you become a Patreon member, you have the ability to call in every week. As you see, week in and week out, we get super chats and we read those off. Imagine hopping on, reading your super chat aloud, and being a part of the conversation. That is what you can do if you become a Patreon member. Link is in the description below. Just click it, join, and next thing you know, you're on here talking with the NFC East Roundtable. And the reason I bring that up now is because we have our first phone-in guest. He's backstage right now.
No way.
I'm scared.
I'm a little bit nervous, too.
This could go a lot of different ways.
Yeah, this could be interesting.
We need
Especially
somebody
in the NFC East.
screaming
All of our
because-
fan bases are crazy.
Right.
We have no idea the affiliation of Jack P. We don't know what he's about to bring to the table, but we're about to bring him to the table. It's Jack P. You're live on the show. Good to have you in. You're the first ever Patreon caller. What do you have for us?
And so what's going on, guys? I am a big fan of the show. So watching McKee perform right this past weekend, it brings up this conversation that was very viral on Twitter. How many NFL quarterbacks would have won the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles last season in 2024? Now, obviously, I
Daniel
do
Jones
want to
could
hear
have.
from Simone, but I do want to hear from all of the panelists
Did I
on
hear
the
Daniel
one
Jones?
as well.
Yeah,
Thank
he
you
could
so
have.
much. I will hang up and listen.
He wouldn't have.
Jack, I appreciate the call. Wow.
How about I start with this? We know who wouldn't, okay? Because we've seen Jalen Hurts go down and people not be able to close out games with the same roster, with the same defense. Kenny Pickett.
KP
So
catching some strays?
my point is, nope, we've seen
Y'all traded
Jalen.
for him. I don't know.
We've seen Jalen Hurts go down and people come in and not be able to win games. That's all I'm saying.
KB, this is a topic of conversation that seems to dominate the cycle when there's nothing else to talk about. It's Jalen Hurts coming off of a Super Bowl MVP, and we got to find a way to discredit that. And the only way to do that would be to say, well, he's not a top 10 quarterback, and anybody else could have won that game if they were manning the ship in Philadelphia. Now, obviously, outside of the common suspects, the guys towards the top of the league that are considered to be the best quarterbacks in the league, is there a threshold to you where you see it being, deep into the teens here of guys that could potentially have won that Super Bowl with Philadelphia? Or do you think it kind of stops at that top 10 mark?
Won the Super Bowl, it would be a stretch. But as far as be successful in that offense, you could throw half the quarterbacks in there and probably be successful. They have a great scheme going on. And it's not to discredit the Eagles at all, or even Jalen Hurts. It's just they're in a great situation. You look at the offensive line. Where do they rank as far as offensive line? They're one of the best in the league, one of the best wide receiving corps in the league. They have Dallas Goedert, one of the best tight ends in the league. They have Saquon freaking Barkley. I already know how it is having an offense with him. They're absolutely loaded. It's hard to really determine how good a quarterback is when you have that kind of talent around them. I think Jalen Hurts is a decent quarterback. He's a good quarterback, but as far as we're pushing high up in the top 10, probably not. Probably not, to be honest with you.
Which one of y'all called in from y'all burner phone?
Hey, that was my cousin.
Which one of y'all called in from y'all burner phone?
It did
not
sound
too
like a
much-
Giants fan.
Not too much for my quarterback, because I know some of y'all would trade places right now.
I know somebody who wouldn't trade places, and that's Rio. I know Rio thinks Jaden Daniels would have won that Super Bowl with the Eagles roster, but Rio, outside of like I mentioned, the guys who are well established, the guys that everybody would consider to be a guy going into that roster that would be able to get it done. Is there a name to you that might shock people where you think, man, I think if he was in there, he might have been able to get it done just the same as Hurts did?
It feels very easy to have conversations like this because I think Jalen Hurts is a really good quarterback, and I don't think that like on a quarterbacky level, he's not as high as a few guys in the league, but he as stacked as that team is, Jalen Hurts is like the glue to that roster. Like as talented as Saquon, them receivers, that tight end, the line, the coaches, that like his leadership, like I don't think some of these quarterbacks that we be talking about could write them through adversity. You know what I'm saying? He missed a couple weeks while they were trying to close out the division. They held it down without him. The first playoff game was kind of murky. It snowed in playoff game number 2. Their offense was sputtering. A.J. Brown's questioning the passing offense, and he just kept them going. Bro, they put up 55 on us in the NFC Championship. Man. I can't hate on him.
He's in submission right now. Listen, he's still heartbroken.
Where were you last week, Rio? Where were you?
I can't even hate on it. And as much as I want to, because I'm so disgusted at how happy Philadelphia is right now, bro. Y'all have seen 2 Super Bowls in your lives in like the last decade, and one was with a backup quarterback, and one was with a guy they're saying half the league could have won the Super Bowl in this position. Bro, it's a Super Bowl, and that team doesn't get held together without their fearless leader. So I can feel whatever I want to about Jalen Hurts. I'll take the top quarterbacks in the league, maybe the top 5 to 7. I'm not going to go any further than that. I can't put a guy like Justin Herbert, even though he's immensely talented and has a crazy arm. I can't put a Bama with no playoff wins on a Super Bowl team. So y'all got it, man. I
feel like the fearless leader on that team is Saquon Barkley, not Jalen
I feel like
Hurts.
he's the best player.
We talk about all the talent that Jalen Hurts has. You have to remember, Jalen has to manage that talent. His friends, A.J. Brown, Smitty, they're demanding targets, asking for targets. Jalen Hurts is
because there were like a lot of games he threw for 100 yards.
Yeah, and we won. Because why? Jalen doesn't care
Saquon Barkley.
Because Jalen
I know
doesn't
how
care
it goes.
about personal stats. You know, there's other teams where superstars will run out if they weren't getting those targets, if they weren't getting those stats. But Jalen Hurts is not about feeding egos. You have to manage egos when you have a team. You're talking about all these talent. You have to have somebody who can manage all those egos, and that's Jalen Hurts. You can't just say anybody's going to have those leadership and those intangibles that Jalen Hurts has.
Well, we should play a game.
So no other quarterback could have won the Super Bowl with the Eagles roster.
Did I say no other?
Okay, how many other quarterbacks?
No, let's play this game. Could your quarterback win the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles?
I know one thing. Your quarterback, Kid Blue, your quarterbacks.
We're getting there. Jackson Dart is getting there, okay? It's a process. It's a process.
Hey, as good as Jackson Dart looked last week, it was like 97 yak yards. We need to relax. We all need to relax, y'all.
It's a process, all right? We're getting there. We're talking about the preseason, guys. Come on. You know what I'm saying? Wait till Jackson Dart actually establishes himself. It took Jalen Hurts 2 years to look good, okay? So let's just take some time.
Everybody don't come out the box ready assembled like 5, man. But
whatever.
Whatever.
That should be
Let talk. He been quiet.
Well, you know, I think it's so funny because when Rio did the introduction with Simone, it was all cute and cuddly, not knowing she's a cutthroat killer. You know what I'm saying?
I know Simone.
Yeah, Simone about to take the knife out and cut KB's throat.
Because he was trying my man's. Like, y'all see it?
Yeah, I feel you.
It, right?
I feel you. You know, I get it, right? I'm supposed to hate everything Eagles related, but I said this the moment that the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts. I was not going to be one of those Cowboys fans that are just going to hate Jalen Hurts for no reason because he's talented. A lot of people forget that. Like, he played in Alabama, what he did at Oklahoma, and yes, he did win the Super Bowl with Saquon Barkley, but he was just there 2 years prior without him. And if it wasn't for Kadarius Toney, you know what I'm saying, having an epic punt return,
Giants legend, by the way,
winning his second Super Bowl. So I get the narrative. It's just something to talk about when it comes to the NFC East. But when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts is like Rio said, he is the glue. Like you do have to worry about Jalen Hurts. Like you really do. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. Now, are there some other quarterbacks that could have won? Yeah. If I put Josh Allen in Philly, yeah, it's just that scary. But he's the glue that makes it all work. One, his contract structure helped the Philadelphia Eagles out and kept them afloat with adding 6 voided years in there. So that's a win right there. Then also you have to be aware of the arm, but you also have to be aware of the legs. And as much as I hate it and we all hate it, that tush push is a game changer. That keeps drives alive. When it's goal line, yeah, bro. It's just demoralizing. It breaks your spirit when you get a big stop and it's 3rd and 1. You get a stop and you up there jumping around watching TV and it's 4th and 1, and you see them about to go for it again, and they know they're going to get it right. That is Jalen Hurts, and so Jalen Hurts is the leader. He's the one that they rally off of. There is a reason why Jalen Hurts took the job from Carson Wentz, because I don't think Carson Wentz could have won a Super Bowl with this team, because he just doesn't have that leadership qualities that make you want to follow him. So, I get it. Jalen Hurts, is he top 3, top 4? No, but he's definitely top 10, top 7. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's other quarterbacks that could have won with them, but
wasn't Carson Wentz on their way to the Super Bowl? Wasn't Carson Wentz like in the MVP race?
Oh yeah, he would have won it if he didn't tear his
ACL. Yeah, that year. But once Jalen Hurts, I remember this when I first came in.
Like 2017, Carson Wentz couldn't have won that Super Bowl.
That was 2017, Carson.
We're talking about
Carson.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
we're talking about when
you're talking about 2024 Carson Wentz. The dude is like not even an NFL player.
We're talking about 2021 when Jalen took his job. Pay attention when Tuck is talking.
He said we're talking about the Super Bowl though.
No, he said Jalen Hurts took Carson Wentz's job because of his leadership. So he's talking about when Jalen took his job.
Wait, didn't you just say Carson Wentz, if he was on this team, wouldn't have won the Super Bowl?
He said the reason why Jalen Hurts was able to take Carson Wentz's job.
I'm not talking about the job part. I'm talking about the Super Bowl part.
Let him finish his speech.
Oh my God! All right, go on, Jay.
No, Carson Wentz wouldn't have won the Super Bowl.
Hey, Tuck, would your quarterback have won the Super Bowl with that Philadelphia Eagles team?
Yes.
Which one? Come on, hold on. Which one?
Both.
Dak?
No, I'm talking
about Rain Dakota.
But see, here's the difference, right? And I was talking about this on Twitter. We can't knock the Eagles and Jalen Hurts for doing what you're supposed to do when you have a franchise quarterback. We're Cowboys fans. We're fighting for a running back and we're fighting for a cornerback and we're fighting, but we can't knock the Eagles because they realize, okay, they have a young quarterback. He does have talent. Let's bring everything in to help him. That's what you're supposed to do. That is why the Commanders just went and got, Debo, right? They're trying to help their young quarterback. So it's like, I get it. We built this team around Jalen Hurts, but that is what you're supposed to do. Everybody has talent. Look at Kansas City, the amount of weapons he has. I mean, he got so many weapons, I damn near forgot. Like, damn, they got Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Rasheed Rice, Brashard, like the list, like they're loading the
Jalen Royals.
You know what I'm saying? Like Jalen Royals, like, yeah, but no one says anything about that. So you can't knock the Eagles, as much as I hate their guts and the colors and the stupid little song and all that stuff, for doing what you're supposed to do when you have a franchise quarterback is build around him. I wish my organization would get off the red carpet right now and go get a Saquon Barkley to help Dak Prescott, to go get a damn cornerback. They were focusing on their third quarterback and they wouldn't got Bennett. We're sitting there trying to find a starting cornerback and we just grasping for straws to maybe bring in Stephon Gilmore back because they just don't, I don't know. So, I mean, yeah, I hate the Philadelphia Eagles, but you can't knock them for doing what you're supposed to do and build around a franchise quarterback to win a championship, and they did exactly that. So,
if only Saquon's
stop picking up the phone when Howie calls NFL teams. Can y'all please just stop?
If only we had a Saquon. Oh my God.
Yeah, but I think Saquons don't grow on trees. Bad organizations let players like that hit the open market.
You came from our tree.
You can't knock Hurts for what he did with Saquon when you had him and do a damn thing with him.
Exactly.
Yeah,
What?
Bitter
We had no damn talent.
I was going to say it's quite amazing the amount of Super Bowl rings that were not won by the Giants with Saquon. Right. KB's propping up Saquon on the ultimate pedestal here.
Hey, thank you. Well, they got Saquon. They had Saquon. Y'all
Saquon was the reason why we were in any game while he was here. That's the problem.
That's your fault, bro. It's all y'all fault.
It's our fault. I mean, I should have put a GoFundMe up for Saquon Barkley or something, man. But
Y'all should get like a replica ring. Because y'all just handed them the best player in the league last year.
They'll probably send us a ring.
And then Dan Quinn's over here trading back and forth and letting them move up in the draft and get Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Like y'all plotting. I feel like y'all plotting against Dallas right now.
Collusion.
You know?
Collusion.
Collusion.
Howie Roseman is gonna be a Hall of Famer, man. That dude's.
Yeah.
I'm so envious of him.
I like this show. Y'all should have invited me before.
Oh no, you're not gonna like us when the season starts.
You're not gonna like me when the season starts. We're just being mellow.
I don't like you, Kid Blue. I meant them two at the top.
Yeah, week one.
You said you liked me last week. What?
You changed. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Listen, it's the competitiveness in me.
KB gonna be here just for vibes when the regular season.
right.
Hey, I'm gonna be talking about Arch Manning about October. So like, you know what I'm saying? So
he's gonna be talking about how Joe Shane architected all these Super Bowl champions outside of East Roundtable. That's what he's gonna be talking about.
We're gonna talk about how many former Giants draft picks were in each Super Bowl. Yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about.
I don't think we have a 2-hour long window for us to talk on the show here. We only got an hour long, KB. What a hell of a first call, though, from our first Patreon guest, Jack P. We're going to gift 5 NFC East Roundtable memberships in honor of Jack P, because that was about as good of a first phone call as we could have hoped for. That really sparked some fire here on the NFC East Roundtable.
He didn't even say who he was a fan of.
Commanders fans, come in and call and act some spicy shit, man. Let's go.
We got enough spice. That was enough spice.
Tell you what, that's going to be tough to top. But Rio, I know you got the Commanders faithful out there ready to get after it this year. So hopefully they call in and do justice. Rio, by the way, I can't let that slide. That was one of the best analogies I've heard in some time. I'm stealing that, by the way. It was incredible. You said they don't all come pre-assembled out the box like 5. I think that was one of the best sayings I've heard in some time. I don't know if you made that up or not, but I just had to give you credit.
Oh yeah. I could do it all day about Jaden Daniels, man. That guy's done miracles on me, man.
I'll always hate he's done miracles on me.
Rio done lost weight. He didn't got it. You know what I'm saying? Know about him.
He's like, I'm doing better.
Bob saved my life, bro.
He's gonna be in the Commander's testimonials. He's gonna be in the commercial with the music, the motivational music in the background.
The year we drafted Jaden Daniels, I turned my life around.
My life together.
Before we put the lid on this whole Jalen Hurts conversation, Simone, I got to ask you, because it was brought up. The Bills have obviously never won a Super Bowl. If they were to win one, it would be known that it was primarily because of Josh Allen. So when the Eagles do go to 2 Super Bowls with Jalen Hurts, win one with Hurts in dominant fashion against the modern-day dynasty, he wins the Super Bowl MVP, yet you still have people saying what Jack P. called in and said and had us talk about here for the last 10 minutes. I often wonder from your guys' perspective, is there any like silver lining in knowing that team was able to win a Super Bowl and a good portion of the public doesn't think the quarterback was good enough to win it? Because to me, from my perspective, I wouldn't care if it was, Eli, Thad Lewis, I don't know, whoever playing quarterback for the Bills, so long as they got it done.
You about to say Eli?
You about to say Eli? 2-time Super Bowl MVP? Eli Manning?
I was going to say E.J. Manuel. I was trying to think of the dredges of Buffalo.
All right.
Here. Yeah, so I kind of got my wires crossed there. But, Simone, do Eagles fans ever sit back and think, man, like, it's even more impressive that we did what we did, and they still don't think we have the guy?
Well, that's why we love Jalen Hurts so much, because Jalen has been through a lot of sports adversity. I mean, he was benched in college. He was always told he wasn't that guy. He came in to be a backup, had to come in, step in, been doubted early in his career, still doubted. You know what I mean? But he's always the perfect leader for the Eagles. And I do not care what anybody's opinion is on Jalen Hurts, okay? Because Jalen Hurts has said he don't care about anybody's opinion. So if you look at my channel, if you look at my content, I don't react to a single list. I don't react to any single talking head's opinion on Jalen Hurts. Anybody like Kid Blue, I don't be reacting to them and making content.
I don't hate Jalen Hurts
because my quarterback does not care. So why am I gonna care? All Jalen does is go out, win football games. You know what I mean? They can say whatever they want about him, but they cannot take away that magazine cover right there with his face on it with Super Bowl MVP. Words cannot
by
take
the way,
away
hold on, I don't
any
even
of the
think I know-
accolades.
I don't think I even noticed the shrine back there. Look at that. You got the same
Yeah, it's
picture.
definitely a shrine.
You got the same picture in 2 frames. Look at that. Look at that. Look at this shrine right here. Oh, we got to take a
She got
closer
to do her prayers after the show.
Now, Simone, walk me
Look,
through
like
because
he
you got.
said, Jalen Hurts changed my life. Just like we said, Jaden changed his life, Jalen changed our life. Okay?
Hey, remembered you too. I seen y'all encounter
Yeah.
on your socials. I said, okay.
There it is right there.
Okay. Motion.
Simone, I've never seen someone have 2 of the same pictures in 2 different frames directly next to one another. You got to
It
talk
used
to me
be
about how
3.
that came
It
about.
used to be 3. I had to take one down.
Copy and paste.
How did that happen? Were you just saying I got to throw another one of these up? It's too good. How did you get to that point?
I mean, I had to make sure at every angle. You know, sometimes people crop you like this. Sometimes you're wide. Sometimes I'm doing a vertical video. I had to make sure every angle. You see what's up? You know what I mean?
That
For
is
every
a power
aspect,
move.
Hey, Dak, man. See, they over here glowing up, man. I'm over here getting gray in the beard. You know what I'm saying? Dak, I want that for me, man.
I can't wait to look
man.
at Jay Tuck's left shoulder and see 2 picture frames of different color.
And
Him
for,
and
and,
Dak
for,
hanging
and,
out
for
at Jerry
Tuck,
World.
and for Tuck and the Dallas Cowboy fans, I just want y'all to know we did lose 55-23, but it felt good to put our cleats on NFC Championship soil, man. Y'all should join the party, man. It felt really good, man. My punter got more completions in the conference championship than your quarterback. So I'm just
My
saying,
God.
bro.
If y'all can get y'all kick return team right, then maybe we would be having Travis Hunter right now, but y'all can't get y'all kick returns. Everybody just, just takes it to the crib against y'all. Won't even want to. Y'all were the only team where we were
That
trying to
stupid
actually
game.
lose that game.
That
Y'all gave it to
stupid
us
game.
anyway. So now it's personal because I was getting ready to do Abdul Carter film breakdown, Travis Hunter, have a top 5 pick. The Rio's Commanders
And we
Thanos Rush at home.
And we
And
Thanos
y'all look at
snapped
us.
that kicker from the existence of the world after that because Jaden's clutches play, Jaden and Terry's possibly clutches play, not the Hail Mary, was that game, and then we missed the extra.
He still
point.
choked it. Y'all sabotage. Dan Quinn did that on purpose, man. He pushing right. He pushing right to 13 on purpose.
Love that for
Hey,
you.
it's personal now.
Strategic and strategic.
Well, speaking of
Yeah.
strategy, I guarantee one of the strategies you have if you play fantasy football is that you're going to want to take Jalen Hurts or Jaden Daniels in your top 10 when your fantasy draft kicks off within the next couple of weeks here. You're like me, you wait until the end of the preseason to get after it in terms of fantasy football. It's in a couple of weeks. And in order to get an edge on the competition, you have got to utilize RotoWire. Over here on RotoWire, as you can see on your screen, this is their NFL fantasy tool. And this allows you to really get a leg up on the competition and deep dive into every player available on the board, from the top prospects all the way down to the guys that nobody knows yet that could end up being the difference maker on your team. My favorite thing about it, and I said it last week, it's just the layout of it. I've been looking into this a ton because it's so easy to scroll through and kind of get little tidbits that you wouldn't get anywhere else. And this is what RotoWire provides. If you use their NFL fantasy draft tool, you can set up all of your own settings. And then from there, you really are able to customize your experience to make sure that you are ready and really better prepared than anybody else for your upcoming fantasy draft. That's just one of the many features that RotoWire has with a premium subscription. Use the promo code RTS via the link in the description below on RotoWire to get 15% off that premium subscription. You will get this this fantasy tool that you see on your screen and a ton more. So the promo code RTS over at RotoWire for 15% off. Link is in the description below. Well, I was not expecting to go down the Jalen Hurts avenue, but I'm so glad we did because that was a hell of a conversation. We've had some positive conversations. We've had some heated debate. Let's get into the negatives here. Unfortunately, with the preseason, there are a boatload of negatives, but luckily those negatives can be easily corrected once you get into the regular season and the starters are out there getting after it. Rhea, I'm going to kick it back up to you and start there because I know when I asked you about the positives, your list was about yay big, and it's really hard to have you hop on the mic with a list that's this short. I got to imagine the negatives from a 48-18 loss is quite longer. So talk to me about what you didn't like from the Commanders over the weekend.
For starters, any world where anyone has to watch Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson for 4 quarters quarterback the football game, like that's an L for anyone involved who watched that. So we did not only play Jaden, we didn't play Marcus Mariota because he has a calf strain right now, and there's no competition for who the second quarterback. So watching Sam Hartman go out there and have half of his passes dropped, and then Josh Johnson put on a cape for a quarter and attempt to try to make the game watchable, bad. Special teams was bad. That concerns me because we just gave Matt Gay one of the highest guarantees. No, the highest guarantee a kicker's got at signing for like a contract, and he missed the field goal, and we let the opening kickoff get ran back for a touchdown by rookie Travion Henderson, and then Gibson ran one out to about the 50, and they almost broke another one. I understand in practice the way that they nerf the NFL. You can't do live special teams at practice, but we look like we signed a bunch of people off the street. Like they signed us to go out there and cover kicks against the Patriots on Friday. But that tackling was an issue. Like, these aren't guys I expect to see on a field, like the fans that did crash out about this game, they're like, oh my God, our depth is so bad. Listen, they're outside of like Philly, and I hate that I keep complimenting Philadelphia.
I know, bro. We got to fix it.
Outside of like Philly, not many teams can go like 1-53 and say we got depth everywhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? Bodies drop, we're good. If we lose players in free agency, we're good. But as long as we're good in certain spots, we're good. Like, our guys just didn't show much fight. And since we rested 30 players, these dudes were gassed. Like, it looked like it was a bad conditioning thing, but no, a lot of these dudes were not prepared to play a full football game. And a lot of these guys were out there playing a full football game on Friday. But tackling, special teams, and watching Josh Johnson and Sam Hartman play football, I don't wish that on anybody. In the preseason, as much as we get excited about it because football being played, it's such a nasty product. It's such a nasty product. It takes nothing but unwavering fandom to get you through a full preseason game when your starters don't play. Like, if you don't got a rookie quarterback like KB to get excited for, or a fun backup quarterback like Tanner McKee or Joe Milton, who's just all arm and like no finesse, like
no accuracy. What is it? Go up and find it.
Like, there was nothing really vibey to latch on about. And then the rookies that we do have that are actually going to play, they're only playing a little bit. So yeah, whole list of negatives. I probably could go all day about the negatives that I see on Friday, but we're gonna get a better taste of what this team looks like on Monday Night Football because Jaden and company are playing on Friday.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned that. So I don't know what Dan Quinn's plan is, but we're going to see more of the starters this upcoming week, especially compared to this past weekend.
Yeah, they're gonna be out there Monday night. I know for sure Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and company are going to be playing on Monday, so we're not trying to look crazy. So you're definitely gonna see Jaden and company.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's funny. This particular year, there seems to be more starters playing than previous. I know the Bengals are trying to right their wrongs of not being able to win early on in the year, and a lot of these teams now are just trying to get their guys ready to go because you get into September and you drop a game or two like Cincy did, and all of a sudden you find yourself in November, December, and those two games are absolutely massive in trying to get into the postseason. Jay Tuck, talk to me a little bit about what you didn't like from Dallas against the Rams over the weekend.
The thing I didn't like the most was the message that we've been hearing versus what we saw in preseason was counterintuitive. So what do I mean by that? We've been hearing from Brian Schottenheimer, we're going to be competitive, we're going to be tough, we're going to be physical, no job is safe, right? And then we look at our very first preseason game, and even our young rookie in Tyler Booker, who was the only healthy scratch out of all the NFL first round picks, he wasn't out there, right? Javonte Williams, who's supposed to be competing for a job, he wasn't out there. Marshawn Nealon, who was in his second year, defensive end, he wasn't out there. Sam Williams wasn't out there. So it makes me feel like there are jobs that are safe and it's not as competitive as we thought. Penalties were still out there a lot. Austin Richards had 2 penalties back-to-back on the same damn call for lining up off his offensive lineman too far off the line of scrimmage after he was warned twice. I didn't see the energy, the effort, the excitement. So I think that was the biggest frustration for me personally, because I wanted to see something new from the Mike McCarthy era to the Brian Schottenheimer era. And from what we saw in preseason, and I almost did this in my channel, was if I mixed last year's clips versus the Rams versus this year's clips versus the Rams, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. It was pretty much the same thing. Actually played better last year, right? Defense couldn't stop the run. Blake Corum was doing whatever he wanted to. Stetson Bennett was comfortable in the pocket, zero pressure. Corners were struggling. So there was a lot of bad things when it came to Dallas Cowboys preseason showing. Mozzie Smith, our first round pick from a few years ago, didn't show any signs of dominance. So he played well, but not great enough for me personally. So, I think there was a lot of negatives. So hopefully they build off of it. But my concern is, if you're resting all these starters, okay, cool, bro, I get it. You don't want your defensive players, their first time actually tackling someone, taking them to the ground, will be versus Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. Like, you want to get your body warmed up. You want to, because we haven't got to hit anybody since last December, since we, play against the Commanders. And so I don't understand this philosophy of all these players resting. Okay, Dak cool, CD cool, Pickens, okay, cool. We can kind of hold from that. But your rookie right guard and Tyler Booker, he needs snaps. Like, he really needs snaps, because there's no warm-up game. Last year we had the Cleveland Browns out the box. We don't have that, right? So they better be ready. And I just don't think that we're doing a good job getting this team prepared for what's going to happen week 1 versus Philly on the road. So that was one of my biggest frustrations and negatives from the first preseason game.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Jay Tuck, this feels like more than just a preseason issue. You're sort of concerned about the franchise in general and their readiness going into September.
Yeah, because what we haven't found out, and of course, Brian Schottenheimer danced around the subject. Who was this call coming from, right? Is it coming from Brian Schottenheimer and the coaching staff, or is it coming from Jerry Jones in the ownership? Because we've been hearing, like, that's the one thing, toughness. Everyone compete. He was even saying, like, Dak Prescott's job not safe, and our depth chart is not set, which we know some people are set, right? But there was some players out there. I'm like, Javonte Williams, why aren't you participating? Marshawn Kneeland, who's a second-year guy, defensive end, why aren't you out there in preseason? Like, there was a lot of guys. Our center and Cooper Beebe in his second year wasn't participating in preseason games. So it was very counter what we've been hearing all offseason about toughness, physicality, nobody's safe. We can compete for the jobs, take the numbers off, take the names off, best man wins. But it feels like a lot of men have already won their jobs when it comes to the stability in making this final 53. So I think that was my biggest frustration. So it feels like, once again, who is really calling the shots in Dallas? And I feel like it's coming from upstairs in Jerry and Stephen Jones versus Brian Schottenheimer, who's come from Pete Carroll in Seattle. This is not what they typically do. Like, they compete, right? They have starters out there in Seattle. So it's just like, I don't understand putting everybody in bubble wrap, because we got to be ready week 1.
Lastly, is there any benefit to you of seeing Dak Prescott over these next 2 preseason games, or are you more of the mindset of just have him healthy for week 1?
Dak Prescott, no, because he's done it before. Like, when he came back in 2021 off the injury, he didn't participate in preseason, and we opened up versus Super Bowl champs in Tampa and Tom Brady. And I mean, that was one of my favorite Dak Prescott game of his career. So I think Dak is going to be okay. But for everybody else, right, we have a very young offensive line. They need reps. They need continuity. Our starting left tackle and Tyler Guyton, who's in his second year, he's out with injury. So you have his replacement and Nate Thomas getting reps, but he only got about 2 series. So it's like, who is actually getting prepared and getting in shape and getting ready for the Super Bowl champs opening night of the NFL season? It feels like, all right, they're comfortable, they're relaxed. Micah Parsons is walking around practice right now with half a jersey around his neck, so he's automatically checked out. It just doesn't give me competitive spirit, competitive vibes that we're going to be ready to hit the ground running week 1 versus Philly. So probably week 2, I'm probably going to take a PTO day, because I'm not trying to hear Simone flex all over me if we're not ready. So,
KB, Firefox is coming in. He's saying, it's been so long since the Giants had a top 10 quarterback. They forgot what 1 looks like. I have a feeling You thought Jackson Dart did about as well as he could Saturday to eventually become potentially a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. So there was a lot of good for Giants fans to take away from Saturday's preseason game against Buffalo. But what were the negatives that stood out that you hope are corrected by September?
One is just the pass defense. The pass defense seems to be a bit shaky, especially from some of the depth players. It just looked like they didn't know what they were doing, where they were going, where their assignments were at. So they're kind of open a lot of the time. Another one is the offensive line. If we are without Andrew Thomas, we are absolutely screwed. The Giants still really don't have a plan at a backup left tackle spot. They did draft Marcus Bowe this year, but he's a right tackle, if not a guard, and he's been practicing and playing at right tackle. So there's no plan there. The Giants signed James Hudson from the Browns, gave him like a $6.5 million per year contract to be a backup tackle, and he is terrible. He's garbage. I don't know if you remember Zebot in the beginning of that game, Russell Wilson driving down slowly but methodically, driving down, and then there was 2 straight penalties that kind of took them away from the red zone and kind of stalled their entire first drive. It looked like they were gonna be on their way to score, but 2 straight penalties from James Hudson, and it took them out. And that's the type of worry I have. If the Giants don't have Andrew Thomas, he does get hurt a lot, we're going to be in some serious trouble. Another thing is the run defense as well. So pass defense and run defense from the Giants. We can get to the quarterback, but can we stop the running backs on the interior through the gaps? Because without Dexter Lawrence, if he's not on the field, they are Swiss cheese. So that's been my biggest gripe right now. It's not really so much the starters, it's the guys. It's like the depth guys. The guys are going to come in rotation. Those are going to be the biggest question marks, because we got some good stars. Andrew Thomas, Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter. We got some good starting players, but the problem is when those starting players are not on the field, I don't think the depth is going to hold up very well, if at all.
We'll finish it off with the team that Firefox says is led by the guy we can all agree is the best-looking quarterback in the NFC East. I think you could probably expand that outside of the division. Jalen Hurts, good-looking dude and a good quarterback. It wasn't out on the field.
Is that what we're
Saturday.
getting at now?
Hey, listen, it's the Jalen Hurts hour, man. We're just hanging out in it. Always enjoying every second.
Oh, my God. His aura is just all over the place now. What's going on?
The Eagles are still only champions for one more month before we have to run it back. So you got to bask in it, I think, while you
we about to power rank face cards on the
February.
NFC.
Till February. What do you mean?
Well, that's true. That's true.
My quarterback is way better than your quarterback.
I'd be like, listen, have you seen Jayden smile? Have you seen this smile?
Have you seen Jackson Dart? He's bringing the mullet back. Come on. No.
Ball line, you know what I'm saying?
Not
Jalen's calves.
His calves.
Jackson Dart is bringing the mullet back, by the way. I got to
He
give
is.
respect to that.
And we got a player named Sexy Dexy. Come on. Yeah.
Listen, whatever you can
We're
do, the
talking about
Giants can do
quarterbacks.
better, guys. Basically, that's what I've learned from today's episode. Whatever you can do.
You
the
ain't
Giants
even
can do
mention
better.
Russell Wilson corny ass.
Listen. I'm not gonna get into it. Russell Wilson got too many memes, man.
Yeah. Mr. Shades Inside Russell Wilson.
It's Mr. Unlimited. Yeah.
Unlimited.
Well, not to continue to inflate the head of Eagles fans, but it feels like the potential for the Eagles is still unlimited, even though they're coming off of a Super Bowl championship. They don't have Jalen Hurts out there Saturday. Still score 34 points behind Tanner McKee, so it might be tough to take away a ton of negative
it's
from
not
this game.
tough.
Simone, okay, well, let's hear it then. Talk me through what you didn't like over the weekend.
Yeah, Keely Ringo. I hate to, Georgia Bulldogs hate to pull one out that isn't doing well, but Keely Ringo, we all knew Adoree Jackson wasn't. We've seen Adoree Jackson the last couple of years. But yeah, Jamar Chase was 6 for 6, I believe. It's obviously Jamar Chase, but at the end of the day, they're competing for a starting spot. Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson both did not look good. We just traded for Jacorian Bennett. Jacorian had not had practice at that point. He practiced the following practice after the preseason game. So hopefully this weekend versus the Browns, we get to see Jacorian Bennett in that spot. But yeah, that cornerback spot, just no. Unless they're on Quinyanamo Bay, they're having their way. Okay, we can stay up that right now. So hopefully that changes next week.
So only the cornerback spot, though. I know you weren't happy about it, but that's pretty
That's
much it.
Yeah.
Not a bad
spot.
outing.
Yeah, especially because we had our backup defensive line, pretty much the backup linebackers. Jahad Campbell did start, but Zach Bond didn't play. So, backup pass rush, backup defensive front is going to make things harder for, Quinyon and Keeley. But I don't like to make excuses. They still had to step up.
Yeah, well, a lot of backups, of course, featured in preseason. That's the name of the game. But luckily for us, we're less than 4 weeks away from watching the Eagles and the Cowboys kick things off for real on Thursday Night Football. So only a couple more preseason games to talk about before we get to the real thing. But for now, that's going to cap it off for preseason week 1, the recap episode here on the NFC East Roundtable. We got the good, we got the bad, and we also had an infamous Jalen Hurts discussion courtesy of our man Jack P., the first ever Patreon caller. So awesome episode, second episode in the books here of 2025, and we look forward to joining you again next week where we talk about preseason week 2. But in the meantime, that's going to do it for this episode. On the way out the door, like button if you could, subscribe button if you could, promo code RTS on RotoWire for 15% off a premium subscription. And also make sure to become a Patreon member. You could be the next Jack P. that has us going down a 20-minute rabbit hole about your favorite quarterback or whatever you happen to bring to the table. For Rio, J Tuck, Simone, and KB, I'm your host, Z-Bot. Thanks so much, as always, for tuning into the NFC East Roundtable, and we'll see you on the next one.